And I'm so happy to be joined right now by an expert on all things media. Michael Harrison has served as the editor and publisher of Talkers, the leading trade publication in the American talk media industry, for the past 30 years. He also hosts the Michael Harrison Wrap, which you guys should definitely check out. He's a great perspective on all things media. Thank you so much for joining us, Michael.
Well, I'm sorry that I'm joining you under such unhappy circumstances, Grace, but thank you for having me on.
Thank you so much. And Michael, my first question would be, can you describe to people, because like I said, I mean, Talkers has been the leading trade publication in American talk for 30 years. What has Rush Limbaugh done for talk radio?
Rush Limbaugh did for talk radio what the Beatles or Elvis Presley did for rock and roll, or what any great talent does for the genre that they are talented in. They create a tidal wave of interest, and they take a lot of people along for the ride. So his influence on this wonderful medium, this phenomenal medium, has been unparalleled. At a time, Grace, when radio it could have easily been on the wane, and radio personalities basically irrelevant in terms of popular figures. He raised it to a level that made it on a par with the most important platforms and the most important personalities, not just in broadcasting, but in politics. So the radio industry, not just talk radio, the radio industry owes Rush Limbaugh a tremendous debt of gratitude.
Michael, I'm a little bit younger. I was born in 1992, so I wasn't listening to Rush as far back as some people. But are there any political moments or, pop culture moments that you remember where everyone said, oh, you got to turn on Rush?
Too many to start pulling them out of my head, which at this moment is obviously swirling with stories, memories, and here at Talkers, a little bit of confusion because this is a gigantic story, in terms of what we're doing. But I would say that an interesting aspect of Rush, when you talk about you starting to listen to him in the early 90s, and you being of a younger generation, when Limbaugh started in the late 80s, he was a comedian. He was very much a conservative version of, the left comedy shows that used satire. He was a conservative satirist, and a large percentage of what he did was extremely tongue-in-cheek. A lot of the things that went on to become his catchphrases were actually kind of like, funny, like, performing with one half of my brain tied behind my back, or even, excellence in broadcasting network was a joke. It was, EIB. It actually became, people think that's the name of the network. He became more and more serious as the implication of his work became more and more serious. So I think that the story arc with Rush is how he went from being a radio performer who used politics as his shtick to becoming a thought leader in America.
And Michael, I keep, drawing comparisons because I obviously work with Howie Carr, but when Howie was one of Rush's biggest fans, we used to listen to him all the time when we drive to remotes. And I do notice a similarity with some of these big radio icons where they're very bright. They have all of this knowledge. They have a Rolodex of information, but they're able to deliver it in a really entertaining way. So they don't really, they don't ostracize anyone from the conversation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and entertainment really is the key to communication. I guess the word that we're using today, better than entertainment, because people think entertainment means telling jokes, yucking it up. But the fact is, entertainment means engaging people.
Yeah.
Engaging, not just putting out information, but grabbing them through the speaker, or if it's TV through the screen, or if it's written through the page, and pulling them in and saying, you will pay attention because you are engaged. And that's really what it is. A couple of things real fast that I'd like to share with you is, one, Limbaugh loved radio more than anything. And that's why he worked every day that he could while suffering with, stage 4 lung cancer. He did radio with a tremendous hearing loss, which has got to be just mind-boggling to try to do that. He was suffering from drug addiction, meds, and OxyContin, and he overcame that. He overcame boycotts. He overcame threats to his life. He lived in many ways an isolated life with bodyguards because he was such a controversial figure. His dedication to his craft was unparalleled, and what really was important to point out was that he was an original thinker. He brought every day to the airwaves, whether you agree with him or not, original angles on the news as opposed to talking points that so many talk show hosts do. They just do the talking points, and they all sound the same. Rush would come up every day with something brand new, a new angle, and then the other hosts would begin to follow him. And by the end of the week, if he did it on Monday, by Friday, everybody was saying what Rush said.
And it's funny because, Michael, I remember at one of the talkers conferences we went to, a guy got up and he was explaining, he was a sports radio guy, and he was explaining part of the key of how he tries to get people to listen to him isn't just to have, a strong opinion, but to have a unique opinion, like you were just saying. And he said, you can get the news from so many places, but there's something to be said for people tuning in and saying, I need to know what Rush thinks about this. And I really do think that's how a lot of people thought of Rush was, here's the news story, let me tune into Rush and see what he has to say about it.
Exactly. And that is what really set him apart from everybody else. Although I would be remiss if I didn't throw in, he was an awfully good practitioner of the radio arts. He understood how to handle himself in that symphony known as a radio station or a radio show, which is a whole art form that many latter-day talk show hosts don't understand. Rush comes from top 40 radio. He comes from the golden age of radio. He grew up during the age of radio, and he was very influenced by a lot of the DJs that knew how to just rhythmically move through the paces of the continuum of sound that is a radio show or a radio station. And he did it masterfully. Then you add the passion, you add the entertainment, and you add the original political insights, and you have a package that's just unbelievable. And also, liberals liked to listen to Rush to hate him. Conservatives don't like listening to liberals, but liberals often will listen to a conservative because it galvanizes their own thoughts of what they think. And part of his massive audience was liberals who loved hating Rush.
Yeah, and Michael, to your point, there's a lot of people right now on social media who are saying, prepare yourselves because a lot of these crazy left-wing people are going to come out and say horrible things about Rush, which happens when someone dies. People on both sides, they can be pretty ghoulish. And someone else said, well, it really tells you about the impact he made that people get so riled up either way. And it's like what President Trump said, you could love him or hate him, but you should respect him because of the impact he made in this industry.
There's no question about it. And very well said. He deserved respect for his success and for the impact he made, not just on the industry, but on the nation. And also, back to what I said before, being a dedicated guy who really loved what he did and did it with pain, with obstacles, and with critics.
Absolutely. Michael Harrison from Talkers. Michael, where can people check you out online if they want to read a little bit of Talkers? And I know you guys will be creating a lot of content about this very sad day.
Very easy. Talkers.com.
Thank you so much for joining the show, Michael. He is our expert in all things media, and I can only imagine how devastated a lot of people in the industry are. I know from my point of view, it's sad. You looked up to this guy. You really, every day, like Michael said, he had a different take on everything and a unique perspective. And a lot of us could only hope to have that kind of unique perspective because it's hard nowadays. You get your information from a lot of places and you get your opinions from a lot of people, but to have a unique, unafraid guy who would get out there every day with such passion and such talent is really rare. Now, we will be getting to some Joe Biden sound cuts after the break. We will have Carol Markowitz at 1:30. Big show today. I have great news for my listeners. The Gen 40 heater is back and just in time for the really cold temps. Taylor is the Gen 40 expert, so I'm going to let him tell you a little bit about this incredible machine.
I've used one for many months now. I stole it out of Howie's office, and it's in Harrison's room at home. My son, he's 6 months old this weekend, and he sleeps through the night because we have the Gen 40 heater there constantly on when he's sleeping, keeps the room very comfortable. And when during the day, we take it out of the room. We use it all over the house if we want to keep it down on our heating bills. It's very light, very easy to transport, very easy to use is a very big factor here. There's only a few buttons on there, and it shuts off when it needs to, so it conserves energy.
That was my question, Taylor, because I think a lot of people, when they hear about a space heater, they get nervous if they have kids or if they have dogs or cats that someone's going to trip over it. It's a very safe machine.
Sure. If it does happen to fall over, it shuts right off. Automatic safety feature. You don't have to worry about it, causing any fires or any damage at all in that regard. So it gives you a lot of peace of mind in every facet that it works in.
Guys, go to EdenPure.com and put in code word HowieDeal to get $50 off the sale price. That's EdenPure.com and use code word HowieDeal for an extra $50 off. These heaters are in high demand, so go right now to EdenPure.com. We will be back with more news about this sad topic, Rush Limbaugh, but we're also going to play some more Joe Biden because the sound just does not stop with this guy. Last night was an absolute train wreck. And I know a lot of people compare him to like a grandpa, but I don't think that does justice to a lot of grandpas out there. I don't think they want to be put in the same boat with Joe Biden. We'll be back on the other side, guys. This is the Grace Curley Show.